But first, it's day 29 of the government shutdown, and the president's rhetoric hasn't changed one bit. He spoke just a short time ago, and he is still demanding a wall.
I'm disappointed that Mexico is not stopping them. If we had a wall, we wouldn't have a problem. But we don't. We have too many open areas.
So here's what we know. The president is set to make an announcement on this subject at 4 p.m. Eastern. The White House says that he won't be declaring a national emergency at that time. And this comes after a week of bombshell reports about the president's involvement with Russia. Special counsel Robert Mueller's office took the rare step of disputing the most recent report that it has evidence the president directed his former lawyer to lie to Congress. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett is at the White House and joins us now. Boy, Errol, this story could not have taken more twists and turns. Let's start, though, with the president's comments on the border wall. The New York Times is reporting that the House Democrats are adding $1 billion in border-related spending. How different is this from the other offers that they've made before? And how can you say that this compares to the current demands the president's making?
That's right, Rena. It's an additional billion to what Democrats had previously offered. And so for those reasons, it falls far short of the $5.7 billion President Trump has said he wants to fund border security and a border wall or barrier. According to the New York Times, though, this additional $1 billion would only go towards improving infrastructure at ports of entry and hiring more than 70 immigration judges who would help deal with this deep backlog of cases of asylum seekers who are coming to the United States. So for Democrats, it at least shows that they're willing to increase slightly the amount of money that President Trump says he wants for border security. But as I mentioned, it's not the money that he wants for a border wall. And so for those reasons, it doesn't appear on the surface that this will really go anywhere. But we do have to wait and see what President Trump says later today.
You know, we saw images of President George W. Bush providing pizzas for Secret Service agents who aren't getting paid. I'm just curious about those folks who are not getting their salaries. Is there any chance this could help the end of the shutdown?
I'm curious too, Rena. I even asked President Trump this morning, what is your message to those, many federal workers who we're seeing lining up at food banks and running out of their own money? And he did not answer the question. He instead that, what we're doing at the border is working and we need security. It does not appear that with the current negotiations, anything that we know so far will end this shutdown. What's key to all of this is Senate Republicans. Democrats have tried to pass bills that would at least open parts of the government and get people their paychecks in the interim. But Senate leader Mitch McConnell has refused to even bring up any of those bills for a vote because he says he won't do it if he knows President Trump won't sign the bill. So even though some Senate Republicans have agreed that they want border security and they want the government back open, there is not enough shared common ground just yet to make that happen.
All right, we're looking for any sort of progress there. We'll take anything that we can potentially get at this point. But I'm curious about that 4 p.m. announcement today. What do we know?
Well, before President Trump left for this dignified transfer where he's receiving the remains of 4 Americans killed in Syria, he said a lot about we need a wall. Walls work. We need border security, and there's another caravan heading from Central America, so we need to do this now. That gives us a hint that he is going to make his case today that increased funding for border security is important, and as president, it's something he sees as a priority. But we're also seeing reports from Axios that Republicans may be willing to offer Democrats a bit of an olive branch if they come up to the $5.7 billion that President Trump wants for this overall funding bill. The olive branch being 3-year work permits for DACA recipients. These are the children of undocumented immigrants, and extended protections for those who are here under TPS. That's that temporary protected status. Now, President Trump has said no to offers like this before. You had Republican Senator and President Trump's friend, Lindsey Graham, here December 31st trying to convince President Trump to give the Democrats something to get out of this. And the president said, while that offer was interesting, he ultimately decided to walk away from it. So we'll see if the pressure, the poll numbers, the images, and the blame that is going toward President Trump is enough to get him to finally agree to something that will both give them the money he wants and give Democrats a reason to vote for it.
Hey, speaking of Democrats, that whole tit for tat between the president and Nancy Pelosi this week, any sense of, actually, I'm going to play for you a bite that the president had to say about the House Speaker.
She's being controlled by the radical left, which is a problem. And, she's under total control of the radical left. I think that's a very bad thing for her. I think it's a very bad thing for the Democrats.
So what exactly did his comments suggest about their relationship now?
Well, they're not getting any closer. I mean, it was pretty stunning watching this past week as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggests to President Trump, perhaps you don't deliver your State of the Union address, which is a phenomenal platform for any president. Perhaps you delay that while this government shutdown takes place. We don't know that we can secure all of the, important leaders in Congress at that time. And President Trump responds by essentially canceling all military travel for Congress members just moments before Nancy Pelosi and her team were to head overseas and visit with troops. That, I think, is being received negatively by most Americans. They see it, as you mentioned, a tit-for-tat debate that gets no closer to ending the shutdown. And so now that we're getting these shoots of possibilities that maybe each side has something to offer, that will at least show that the two sides are talking again. But as of based on what President Trump said this morning, there's no love lost.
Errol, I have to ask you about this BuzzFeed report that everybody was talking about yesterday that essentially said that the president, there were law enforcement sources BuzzFeed had that said that his attorney, Michael Cohen, was directed by the president to lie. The special counsel did something they rarely do. They actually issued a report denying the details, a statement denying the details. I mean, this never happens, Errol.
It never happens, and it's another reminder that despite all of the reports citing unnamed sources that we've seen all over the place, no one knows what the special counsel has other than Robert Mueller and his team, and they've made essentially nothing public beyond these filings for people who have already pleaded guilty and have said that they're cooperating with the special counsel. Now, Michael Cohen is one of them, and so that's why this report, which seemed to suggest that for the first time, Michael Cohen was saying that President Trump directed him to break the law and lie to Congress when he will testify here in the next few weeks when he discusses the possibility of a Trump Tower in Moscow. That effectively was a bombshell, but the special counsel saw it as necessary enough to say that there were inaccuracies in that report. What's interesting is BuzzFeed News says they stand by their report and they want the special counsel to clarify what's not accurate. You know, don't hold your breath waiting for the special counsel to clarify that. But it does mean that despite the passion on both sides of this debate, no one really knows what the special counsel has other than the team itself. That's
so true, Errol. And very interesting that there was a very vague statement that they released as well.
Precisely.
Thank you very much, Errol, joining us from the White House. We'll be chatting with you later this afternoon as well. Thanks again, Errol.
You got it.